For wrestling diehards only, this is the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in another edition of the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast here on IdahoSports.com, your weekly 1 hour stop down on the biggest storylines and headlines in the great sport of wrestling here in the state of Idaho. We are broadcasting live every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Pacific Time on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, and Instagram account. And we are also streaming live on the Idaho Wrestling News Facebook page tonight as well. I know there's a lot of you that are watching live tonight in the chat. This is why we do it. We do the show for you. We want you to drive the conversation. So if you've got a question, if you've got a shout out, if you've got a comment you want to throw up, we'll throw it up on the screen for you. Give your favorite athlete, give your favorite coach, favorite podcaster a shout out, and let us know where you're watching from tonight as well. And as you're hanging out tonight in the chat as well, if you can hit the like button or the subscribe button and then share this when it's all said and done, that helps everybody else who isn't here live find the replay a little easier. You can, of course, watch the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on replay anytime at any of those destinations, Instagram, X, Facebook, or YouTube, or you can listen to the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast at IdahoSports.com or wherever you download and subscribe to podcasts. The Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast is brought to you by Green Solutions Cleaning and Restoration. It's two brothers born in Rexburg that have been blessed to find a way to work with one another. Here's what they say. Our dad put us on the wrestling mat at 5 years old, and through our childhood, we've had a lot of success in high school and college. Through wrestling, we learned that having success not only takes hard work, but putting in more time than our opponents. In our business, we put in the time and energy to make us great at what we do. We feel we have an edge and can help our customers have a great experience. We are the premium carpet cleaning company in the area. Our main focus over the last 3 years has been in water damage, emergencies, and disasters. No one wants to wake up to a foot of water in the basement. That being said, we've learned how to de-escalate the situation and help the customer through the difficult times. We love East Idaho and are grateful for this area and our loyal customers. Again, that is Green Solutions Cleaning and Restoration. All right. Enough of me as the only person on the screen. I'm going to defer now to people far more talented and better looking than I. Let's start with our own Coach Al Fontes from the Treasure Valley. Yo, what's up, Al?
Not much. Hey, happy Tuesday.
That's right. Happy Tuesday evening for sure. Also joining us tonight from East Idaho, Brian Zollinger. What's up, Brian?
What's going on, diehards? How we doing?
Doing great. Here in the chat, guys, we've got David Pearson watching from Kellogg tonight. Love it. Love the North Idaho representation. And here is Travis Tyler. Hello, fellas. And he says, Brandon, it was great meeting you and Ryan last Friday night. That's right. Ryan Skaggs and I were at the Battle for the Paddle, Lakeland versus Sandpoint. It's a big school spirit competition. They have two basketball games and then a wrestling duel in between the two basketball contests. We always start the show, guys, with the best thing we saw from the past week that was. And I usually let you guys go first, but I'm going to go first this time because that Battle for the Battle was awesome, guys. Like, just outside of the wrestling, the school spirit component of this, where the two student bodies are fundraising for local charities, and they had a lip sync battle. They had a rap battle. They had a boat race in these like cardboard boats that they made from one end of the gym to the other. They had like a contest to see which crowd was the loudest. They actually took out a decibel meter reading device, and the gym was silent. And then they were like, okay, Lakeland, go. And they would yell as loud as they could. And so, oh man, Al, do they have anything like that in California? These like school spirit
we had
nights?
that growing up too, boat races, but we actually did it in the school pool with cardboard.
In the pool?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it wasn't as buoyant as you would think. So, but we had fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Brian, in terms of East Idaho, I got to think Madison Rigby probably is a big one. Obviously Tiger-Grizz, right? Skyline, yeah. Idaho Falls.
Yeah. Nothing, where you have multiple sports in an evening, that would be really cool. Love the idea, but obviously football, basketball games, and even wrestling matches, Skyline, Idaho Falls is probably the biggest. I think they're the closest in proximity here. Hillcrest, Bonneville is kind of a rivalry, same district, which is, different down here. You have multiple schools in one district, and that can add to it, but no boat races, no decibel meters. Those good ideas, though. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then in terms of the actual, the wrestling competition, I'm pleased to announce that when we did the show last week, we weren't sure if there was going to be an opportunity for any girls to compete under the lights because they lower the spotlight, they turn the lights out. It's one competition at a time. We did have 2 Sandpoint girls that were able to wrestle and compete, and I think next year the goal should be let's get a full lineup of girls out there. I mean, we were already there until 10:30 at night anyways. What's another hour? I mean, so that I think that is the goal for next year for sure. So it was a really fun time. Jordan Tyler came out. The themes, each student section had a theme this year. Lakeland's was FBI, Sandpoint's was fire department. And so Jordan Tyler came out with an actual firefighter's helmet, a legit one, came out and was strutting his stuff, and he didn't get to compete. The kid from Lakeland decided to forfeit, which was a bummer. But Lakeland ended up winning the duel. It was just a really fun night. And that was my first time seeing a duel. I've been to the big tournaments before where there's, 10 mats down and it's just chaotic and you're looking all over the place. Al, the duels was really cool because it's one spotlight, one match. And I really liked the atmosphere that it had.
Oh, it's great for the sport. It's great for the sport. I remember in my high school, my coach my dad, who was a fabricator, made this makeshift spotlight, and we put it over the gym, and it was just, it created an atmosphere. It was great for all. People still talk about it to this day. So.
And then just to wrap up, the individual that I was most impressed with was at 175, Charlie Becker, a sophomore from Sandpoint, came out against Peyton Sardinia from Lakeland, who was an upperclassman. And I'll tell you what, Becker came out very aggressive, which can be good, but sometimes that sets you up for the big reversal at times. But I tell you what, Becker was unafraid and undeterred, 14-0. Victory over Sardinia at 175. That was the most impressive performance to me on the mat there for Sandpoint. Okay, I feel like I've been talking forever. So Val, of course, we're going to hear from Val at the bottom of the hour here. Both Becker siblings did win. Sylvia Becker was one of the 2 Sandpoint girls that got to wrestle. And I got to be honest, those Sandpoint girls, it was over in like a minute. Both of them, it went pretty quickly. So it was a lot of fun for sure. In the chat, here's Bruce Schultz. This is amazing. 15 years ago, no AD would have done this. I think it's it's unique. I don't know of any other schools in Idaho that do this. And so to be a part of that for the first time was really fun. And then Travis Tyler says, what about Tyler Wood defeating the 198 pounder in 5A? That was also a good one. The number 1 98-pound wrestler in 5A, Zach Teal from Lakeland, came in highly acclaimed. And yeah, that set the tone right away. It was the first match of the night, and Ty Wood came out and got a 9-3 win there as well. So that was certainly a big moment in the match also. Okay, I feel like I've been talking for like 10 minutes straight, guys, and that's never good. So, Brian, I'll go to you next because you were at Tiger-Grizz all weekend. What was the best thing that you saw from the past week?
Tiger-Grizz itself. I mean, the finals, same thing. What they do there, they have 2 spotlights. So you got the girls' match and the boys' matches going side by side for the finals with 2 spotlights. Lights are off. They've got the the cold spark machines shooting flames between matches and at points. And so it's just a cool atmosphere, and the wrestling was just off the hook. And it's always better when there's a tight team race. The top 3 Post Falls ended up winning that. Meridian was 3rd, and Corner Canyon from Utah was 2nd, but it came down to the 2nd place match, came down to the heavyweight match. And so, a lot of tension, a lot of fun, just a great atmosphere. And the wrestling was, in some weights, I would say it was stronger than Raleigh Lane in a couple of those weights. You had the Westlake, Utah team, which brought some really good kids up, Syracuse, Utah, Star Valley, Wyoming. So, not in every weight, but there were 2 or 3 weights that I thought were as strong as Raleigh Lane, if not stronger. So it was a great tournament. Best thing I saw was just the competition there.
Yeah, because it looked like Westlake had the most champions, right? Didn't they have like 3 champions there?
Yeah, they did. And I think they left 2 of their probably it's tough to say best kids because they've got some really good ones, but I think 2 brothers, and I can't think of their name. Last name starts with a B, but also, national competitors, nationally ranked kids that they didn't bring for whatever reason. So, but yeah, Westlake looked good.
Yeah, I know you were kind of giving us updates on the scoreboard in terms of the team race there, Brian, on Saturday. That was fascinating to watch that down the stretch.
It was.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Al, what was the best thing you saw from the past week of competition?
Saw two things. So I went to the Rocky Mountain Centennial Duel. It was in the girls division. You had Kara Herschel from Rocky Mountain. She was going up against Ava Bowie, who from Centennial, who had beaten her, I believe, at the Jayberg. She went in that match fired up, and it came into triple overtime where Kara won in triple overtime. Just it was just probably one of the best matches of the night, and it was early on. So I want to give her kudos to her. She's taken another step up the ladder. Just shows you the competition is getting closer and tighter, and at that level. Jolie Slider of Lewiston, she came back and beat Charlie Noah from Tri-Valley at the Clearwater Classic, the top-rated freshman. So that's another thing I saw that just shows that there's no guarantees going into state. There's going to be some fierce competition coming ahead.
Yeah, I was keeping a close eye on that this weekend as well at the Clearwater Classic. And yeah, of course, Jolie Slider on her home turf, as it were, in the home venue. So that was great to see there as well. We were talking about the battle for the paddle between Lakeland and Sandpoint and kind of the spirit competitions. Bruce in the chat says Lewiston and Clarkston do the same thing. Yes, they have the spirit competition and the basketball games, but they, at least when I went last year, I was at their rivalry game last year. They did not do wrestling at all. It was just basketball. So I think Lakeland and Sandpoint are the only ones who do wrestling in between the two basketball games. Their rivalry, Al, is the battle for the Golden Throne, and they play for like a golden toilet plunger.
I would say something, but I can't say it online. But no, that's great.
We have some interesting rivalries up here.
Gotta have fun, man.
Well, in your neck of the woods, Meridian and Mountain View, they always meet up in the Battle of the Stinky Sneaker. That's a big rivalry down there. So yeah,
or the Battle of the Mountains with Rocky and Mountain View. Yeah, there's great rivalries. We got to do that. That's part of the sport, is to have fun and create those historical rivalries. I think that's great.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, well, let's talk about Tiger-Grizz. Let's get down to the nuts and bolts of what happened there. Brian kind of alluded to it, a very tight team race on the boys' side where going into Saturday and kind of the finals, you had Post Falls, Corner Canyon, and Meridian all right there, neck and neck. And so if we look at the top 10 team scores here, Post Falls wins at 208. Corner Canyon takes second at 193. Meridian at 190 places third. Brian, I'm sure Post Falls is wondering if they can petition to get Corner Canyon to come compete at the Idaho 6A state tournament. Help them out with that numbers advantage again, right?
Yeah. That, one team like that changes everything. I mean, with Westlake, Corner Canyon there, how many more finalists would Meridian, Post Falls have in there? I mean, or, placers. So it's tough to read from a single tournament like this still who the top 6A team is, but Post Falls and Meridian both look, I mean, their athletes are always in shape, just two well-coached teams and just full of dogs. I mean, it was fun to watch them both. And you started out the finals, it's tight. I think Meridian had a chance in the finals had they won everything and Post Falls not won a lot of theirs. And the finals started out 98 pounds with Post Falls on Meridian. And so the excitement just kind of built from there. And without some of those out-of-state schools in the finals, like Westlake, who knows what happens? But it was tight to the last few minutes.
Al, does this change your thinking at all in terms of Meridian was the number one ranked team this past week in our IdahoSports.com rankings? We'll see if that holds. Rankings, of course, come out tomorrow. Post Falls was ranked number 2. Does Post Falls winning this over Meridian change your thought process, or are you kind of like, too many wild card variables thrown?
So when you look at mathematics, there's an old saying, Melody Hobson said, I like math because it doesn't have an opinion. So when you look at it mathematically, whether you use them, the probability of a type team race, it will be Post Falls and Meridian pending they have all their kids healthy and there's no variables like that. But like I said, you're not going to have a third or fourth team as strong, I believe, in the 6A that will do it. So I think it'll be a 2-team race. But solving for X will be who has the most seconds that can score points and then bonus points. That's what we can't calculate right now. So as of this point, it can, in my opinion, it can go either way.
Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit. My broadcast partner and I, Ryan Skaggs, on our North Idaho Prepcast, and he seems to think those blood rounds are going to be absolutely critical in this 6A race this year. We do have some comments rolling in here, guys. We talked about Jolie Slider defeating Charlie Noah from Tri-Valley at the Clearwater Classic. We'll talk more about this at the bottom of the hour, but here's Tina Slider in the chat. Jolie bumped up a weight for Charlie. Look at that. It is she is like the shark in the water. Where are you at? Let me find you and defeat you.
I saw she was at 120 and was going to ask that exact question. That's kind of what I figured happened. So good for Jolie.
Yep. We were talking about great rivalries in the state as well, guys. Here's David and Michaela Molina this week, and then they actually say it's next week, but the second annual Battle of the M, Minico, Middleton, Madison. I kind of forgot about that one, Al. They did that last year. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the batter for Al's hat. That's what he wears that hat for, right?
Yeah, that's what we were
Madison, Minico, Mountain View.
The battle for the M. That's Al won it last year. That's where he's got the hat for this year still.
Yes, yeah, we made that joke last year. Yeah, Minico, Middleton, Madison. That is in 2 weeks. So that's going to be a lot of fun there as well. And again, keep throwing your comments in the chat and we'll get them up on the screen. In terms of the individual winners at Tiger-Grizz, a lot of guys that are ranked number one now. We had 5 that are number one in their respective weight class in their respective division win the title. That would be Grayson Packer from South Fremont at 113, Blake Nevels from Meridian at 126, Sean Hall from Canyon Ridge at 138, Nate Gugelman, American Falls at 150, and Seth Martin from Post Falls at 190. Which individual performance was most impressive to you, Al?
Well, Sean Hall, I mean, we were asking that question. Blake Nevels beating Saxon Scott was really solid. Grayson Packer has been consistent in his weight. Blake Nevels beating Saxon Scott. That was a Sean Hall. I was hoping to see that with Seguin in that match, but he was on the other side of the bracket. Lost to the kid that Hall beat in the finals, I think, by major decision. I was hoping to see that, but Hall is on a different level right now. So he's probably one of the best, along with Gugelman too. He's been consistently solid all year.
Yeah. Brian, you were there watching with your eyeballs. Who really stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I was really looking. In fact, I talked to Seguin there, and I was looking forward to that Hall-Seguin matchup. And against the Star Valley kid, Seguin just said he didn't have his best match, and he actually ended up getting caught and pinned. Without the fall, who knows what happens. But we have to wait till state to see that one. It's going to be fun. The best matches of the night, there's so many weights I can't say. Seth Martin was the most dominant performance there. Him and the Fager kid from Corner Canyon. Seth Martin, I was talking to his coaches outside of their duel in Wisconsin. I don't think he's had a match that hasn't been a major tech or fall. So he looked dominant, but the best 2 matches of the night, 126, Nevels and Scott, was just intense. It literally came down to the last second. Nevels got a reverse, and there wasn't enough time for Scott to get an escape to tie it up. That one was off the hook. And then Nate Gugelman at 150 in the finals, really, really good kid. Obviously the Fish kid from Westlake is, just an absolute beast. And Gugelman takes him out with a takedown, literally with no time on the clock. Just blast double out of bounds. It was just 2 really fun matches. So those were the 2 that stood out on the night as being the best matches. But as far as dominance, Seth Martin he just destroyed the kid even in the finals. So looked really good.
And Brian and Brandon, the team I've been watching closely is Mountain View. Okay, so Ian Avalos, he's a sophomore. He was in the state finals. This kid is doing everything he's working in the off season, so he will be a title contender. Jean-Luc Guerrero is second. He's been consistently placed in that state. You got Chaz Patton. He's been consistent at every Reno, Raleigh. He's been placing, so he's consistently. But I believe his younger brother, at 215's Gage Ponton. He's someone we need to pay attention to because he's starting to step up in the. I think Mountain View could be a threat for a top 5 at state if they continue this.
Yeah, I agree. Both Ponton brothers looks good. I've watched Chaz for years. He's right in there. Top 2 or 3 at the 5A level. So that's, him and Smith from Post Falls could be our finals match. Of course, then the surprise at that weight, 175, to me, it was a surprise. I'd seen him at Raleigh Lake, was the Eagle kid that beat Trey Smith in the finals. That one, I would not have called that. Genovese.
Yes.
That was my shock of the night. And maybe I was just naive and I thought Trey Smith would handle him, and it went the opposite way. But yeah, Ponton
I'm not
good.
surprised. I'm going to tell you why, because I live in Eagle and I've watched him compete. He was into like the 140 range. He's grown a little bit. He's a tough kid, and I think he's starting to mature a little bit. So, and he's got some good workout partners there. So, yeah, he's definitely been one of those kids that's been on my radar, but now he's starting to rise a little bit and mature.
Somebody told me that he was a world level or world champion jiu-jitsu guy too, and that's his background, and he just barely started wrestling not long ago. So
no, he's a mature, tough kid. So yeah, he's definitely going to be in the mix at state.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Just real quick, boys, highlights by the numbers here at Tiger-Grizz. 6 of the top 10 were from Idaho, 4 from Utah, basically out-of-state teams. 65 of the 90 placers were from Idaho. That's a nice clip, 72%. And among those, 26 were 6A ranked wrestlers, 18 were from 5A rankings, 15 from 4A rankings, nobody in 3A. And Brian, were there any 3A schools there competing at Tiger-Grizz?
I can't think of any 3A schools. We had 4A. On the girls' side, there were a couple. But I can't think on the boys' side. I don't remember seeing any 3A schools. Grace was there probably. Grace probably had a few athletes there. So yeah, Grace, and they scored some points, it looks like, but I don't know how any of them did. I don't remember. Yeah. None in the finals, but so Grace was there.
Yeah.
So gentlemen, I mean, we got this year we got 3A. So 3A really consists of all the former 1A, 2A, and 3A schools per se, right? That's
just your 1A.
Old 2A, 1A, right?
Old 2A and 1A.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the new mark there. In the chat, we got a couple to catch up on here. Alfonso says he's watching from the Thunder Ridge basketball game tonight. He's got to support the Odyssey dance team, but his heart is in the right place. Alfonso threading that needle. I love it. I love it. Here's Bridget Seguin in the chat, guys. Her shout out is to Damian Hamilton. He took he won his weight at the Tiger-Grizz. Looked really good. And then the reason I asked you that, Brian, about the 3A schools was because here's Meredy in the chat. Most of the 3A schools were at Wendell and Aberdeen. And Kevin says, yeah, the Magic Valley Classic had some great matchups. I thought we could stop down real quick and just hit the highlights from those competitions as well. Kind of a who's who of really, I thought the Magic Valley Classic had maybe a more stacked lineup. The Tiger Brawl in Aberdeen also had a good field. But if we're looking at, the results and how everything went there, is there anything that jumped out to you guys from either of those competitions?
I didn't see, and if somebody's out there knows, I didn't see that there were team scores kept at the Magic Valley Classic.
I didn't see any either.
Okay. So I saw the individual results. I mean, you had some great matchups. 165, you had Shaw from New Plymouth, Allen of Firth, a couple state champions there. And Shaw pulls that one out. Drake Morrison looked good again. So that's kind of what I saw at the Magic Valley Classic. So if anybody knows there was team scores, I'd like to hear it. The other one over in East Idaho, the Tiger Brawl, it looks like this one was crazy to me. Skyview, an out-of-state team, I think, is that Utah, won it, and then Nampa Christian was second. Yeah, that was crazy to me. And, I'm looking through it. It looks like they had a couple champions and, several placers. So, good for them. North Fremont was third, and then it looks like Highland probably had their B team there because I know Highland had a lot of kids at the Tiger-Grizz, and then Pocatello rounded that out. So on this side of those state, those two, it's kind of what I saw there.
Yeah. Couple of things that jumped out to me from the Magic Valley. I can't remember if you said this or not, Brian. 165. Jacob Shaw from New Plymouth beats Ashton Allen from Firth. That was a big time matchup, I thought. And I also, Carter Britton looked good at 132 from Firth. And then, 126, this kid from Glens Ferry, Gabe Muhlenberg, he's a good athlete. I recognize him from some other sports too. And yeah, here's Kevin in the chat. Gabe Muhlenberg won 126 and only had 4 points scored against him. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he's the number one ranked wrestler there for a reason. Yeah. Looks really good.
And Kevin says Malad won the team title at the Magic Valley Invite. So
yeah, and in fact, that Muhlenberg Tracy matchup, that's the 1 and 2 kids in the state right there at that weight, and Muhlenberg won it by a tech fall. So really impressive.
Yeah, big time performance there for sure. Your champ at 285 was Marcus Garcia from New Plymouth. Here's Miria Garcia. He hasn't wrestled since the 8th grade, Al, but he's coming back for his senior year. He's ranked 2nd in all of 3A wrestling for the heavyweight division. That sounds like maybe a good story lead there.
No, that's great. And going back to Muhlenberg, I think we should probably start talking about it. When we're looking at college commits, it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Gabe's going to be going to Colorado State Pueblo. I think he committed with them. They're a Division II school. Have you?
I've heard that, but I don't have confirmation. I have not seen them.
Okay. So that's where I believe. I mean, being a 2-time state champion, 3-time finalist, I believe he's going to Colorado State Pueblo for Division II.
I'm guessing that Kevin's going to be able to tell us in the chat, considering they got the same last name. So he's going to, there you go. Yes, he has. So, all right, Al, you're spot on. Here is Corey Green. A big thanks to Green Solutions, of course, for sponsoring the Matt Chat Prepcast here on IdahoSports.com. Googleman finds a way to win every single time. Impressive and very fun to watch. Grayson Packer is so hard to score on, so good on his feet. And he wants to know, did anyone see Brandon Edstrom from Madison Tech Tobias in the quarters? Good stuff.
I did. And that was another finals matchup that literally, you had the argument in Edstrom that we should have maybe been in overtime. There was a really quick 4 count. And Edstrom had to come out, cut the kid to score, because if it was a 2 count, we're headed to overtime. Edstrom rides it out. So that was a good match. And, Grayson Packer, a freshman. And that was a stacked weight. You had some of the best kids at each division in his weight, the 5A, 6A, and Packer pulls it out just like he did at Raleigh. You can't say enough there. So, and I missed Mr. Green at the tournament. Usually I get to bump into everybody, but there were so many people there. I miss seeing Corey. Dang it.
And here is your top 3 from Merity at the Magic Valley Classic, guys. Malad at 278.5, New Plymouth at 211.5, Ryrie at 208.5. That's a pretty significant gap there between Malad and New Plymouth there. So
it's just a few more finalists.
Yep. It's a good maybe a way to assess the 3A landscape right now. Here's Amber Sperry Johns in the chat, guys. Shout out to Draven Johns for winning the Kiwanis Invitational and earning Outstanding Wrestler. Also broke the Caldwell High School career record at 177 and counting. Now, we were talking about this a little bit before we came on tonight. What a stud.
Yeah, that record was held by Colby Klotzer, exceptional wrestler over the past, but this is great to see. 177 matches, a lot in 4 years. So at his trajectory, he may be edging towards 200. I don't know if he'll be able to reach that, but come close. So wish him the best.
Yep, for sure. Yep, way to go, Draven Johns. That's from Kevin Mullenberg. Eddie says Firth had 4 in the finals at Magic Valley Classic. Definitely some tough teams. Malad on top as a team. Yep, and then New Plymouth and Ryrie. That's kind of the hierarchy right now. Okay, quickly before we get to girls wrestling, guys, David Pearson wants to know, did I miss the Clearwater Classic recap? No, you're getting it right now. Clearwater Classic, guys, in Lewiston. Lewiston wins the title, 213 points. Kellogg takes second at 201. Coeur d'Alene finishes third at 196.5. In terms of the individual winners, were there any weight classes that stood out to you guys in particular?
I mean, there were some good finals matchups, but
there was a lot of out-of-state kids that ended up winning. A lot of Washington kids took the individual titles, but
113 Story Lynch. So you had an in-state finals there. Story of Kellogg, Lynch from Lewiston. Story looks just super solid this year. I can't think of any others that I looked through that. And I mean, you had good kids in several weights. I'm trying to think finals matchup though. Oh, I had had a note from Ian Schwecke, wrestles from Moscow, but somebody had told me that he is at state, will be wrestling 2A, 3A with another school. And I don't know if anyone out there knows what school that is going to be, or if that's the case.
So I think it might be, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it might be Potlatch. I think Potlatch doesn't have enough to go on their own as a team during the regular season. So he kind of tags along with Moscow, but then when it's time for state, he's going to represent his own school, Potlatch. There. So
yeah, I had heard that, but didn't know for sure. I mean, it looks like he had a great tournament, always does. And then of course, Priest River, the McLean tag, Priest River against Whitlock Lewiston. Thought that was a notable matchup. Obviously going to be different divisions at state, but good to see those cross matches.
Yes, and here is Tina Slider in the chat. All Idaho final at 175 as well. James Green from Moscow beats Eli Noah from Tri-Valley. Wyatt Mora from Tri-Valley takes third in that weight as well. And James Green, pretty recently, guys, crossed 100 career wins in his career at Moscow High as well. So congratulations to James Green there. Bruce says 200 wins is crazy. Back in the day, there was a 29 match limit.
We're resetting the record books. That's for sure.
Yep. All right. The last word for boys wrestling comes from Corey Green, guys. Brian, he says he had to take the younger boys wrestling. So that same day they were at the Tiger-Grizz too. He hopes to attend next year. He hates missing it for sure.
Well, he's going to have kids there pretty quick, so he's not going to be able to miss it.
Okay. Okay, guys, here we go. Official Potlatch Idaho wrestling team, not Potlatch. Kendrick is where Swanky wrestles for. So there you go. Yep, Swanky wrestles for Kendrick. So sorry about that, guys. Didn't want to get the team wrong there. Girls wrestling convo coming up in just a second. But first, the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast and all of our wrestling coverage on IdahoSports.com is brought to you by Green Solutions. Green Solutions, East Idaho's trusted choice for fast, reliable flood recovery. Okay, let's switch gears and talk girls wrestling. Let's bring on our girls experts from the north, Val Johansson. Hello, Val.
Hi, guys. How's it going? Happy Tuesday.
Yes, great to see you. And also joining us from southern Idaho tonight is Fred Bartlett. What's up, Fred?
How's it going? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. Okay, where do you guys want to start? Tiger-Grizz, or do you want to start with the Clearwater Classic? I'll let you guys choose.
We can jump into the Clearwater real quick. Probably take a little less time. It wasn't as large. At about 75 girls there this year. Obviously, the highlight, right, is going to be Jolie Charlie there at 120. That was a 5-2 decision. I wish that was on Flow. I'm disappointed I didn't get to see that match. Somebody has film, please send it to me because I would love to see that match.
I got it.
I really haven't talked about too much that I want to talk about is Jessie Rice out of Clearwater Valley at 138. She's 21-3. Her only losses were the Callie Brown from Post Falls, Courtney Hunt at Jaybird, which was a 15-12 decision. And then Kay Fowler. So this is a girl who's kind of been under our radar, but has been quietly grinding and just dominating that 138 weight class up here. So I definitely want to give Jessie a huge shout out. And then Potlatch girls, Shelby and Haley came in strong and confident, but won both their divisions this weekend.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love giving Clearwater Valley a little love because where they're located, Kuski, that's a hard place to get to. They are not close to literally anything up there in North Idaho. So
I got married in Kuski, fun fact of the day.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. It's a beautiful place for sure. It's right there on the river. over there in North Idaho. So yeah, Jessie Rice wins at 138. Lewiston won the team title, Val, but Potlatch was pretty close in second place.
Was right. Yeah, Potlatch had 3 first placers. I forgot Tierney. Sorry, Tierney. Great job this weekend. A second place and a couple of fourth places. So I mean, Potlatch is right there in the mix. It's good to see them wrestling back in Idaho. So we hopefully to see them wrestling more consistently, especially up north.
Yeah. Tierney Prather won at 185 for Potlatch, of course. Haley McNeil at 152. And then I'm trying to see if they had any other individual champions.
Shelby Prather at 126.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Here's Tina in the chat. Sammy Slider starting to look good.
Yes.
So
yeah, she's come a long way from last year. Last year she wrestled just a little timid, and I think wrestling over the summer just really brought that competitor out, and she has just been climbing up each week.
Yeah, she took third at 126. Callie Wagner from Tri-Valley took second, and shout out to the Orofino Maniac, Reagan Kessinger, winning the title at 126. That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay. Amanda says in the chat, the Clearwater Classic finals were streamed and posted on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Amanda.
Awesome. That's okay. So we'll search for that once we get offline here. Okay. Was there anything else from the Clearwater Classic that stood out to you, Val, before we duck over to the Tiger-Grizz?
So who's Andre Winkle? She took third, and she's also from Tri-Valley. Is she a freshman, or who is she?
I don't. You know what? I don't know that name.
Audrey Winkles.
So Charlene Noah took second at 120s, and Audrey Winkles is also from Tri-Valley as well. So
looks like she's a junior. I've seen her around, so Fred might know something about her if Val doesn't, because I've seen Audrey over this summer months, but she's a junior.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a good workout partner, I'm sure. So yeah, that helps a lot. So,
yeah.
Same with Sammy. Like Sammy's got to get tough. She's wrestling her sister enough, so
yeah,
it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's Brittany Wagner in the chat, guys. Junior. And Amanda says, Val, you can find that Clearwater Classic on the Lewiston LHS Bengal Wrestling page. So there you go.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks for doing that. Yeah, shout out from Crystal here to Reagan Kessinger from Orofino for defeating Callie Wagner at 126 from Tri-Valley. I thought that was a big breakthrough win. Fred, was there something when you looked at the results from the Clearwater Classic that just jumped out to you and you said, okay, got to take notice of that?
No, I was just really excited to see Jolie and Charlie square off again. The more often they can match up, the better it is for our sport. Just see those guys going after it. I'm hoping we get a rubber match, but they're kind of running out of time, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
so,
we'll see.
I had one last one before we jump off Clearwater. Haley Cook of Priest River. She doesn't have a lot of experience. Her first wrestling match this year was at Raleigh, but she is a heavyweight for Priest River, and she won that weight class this weekend. So huge shout out to her and the girls at Priest River who are up here working hard, and all new wrestlers and definitely growing and getting better each week.
Yeah, that's great to see. Priest River not that far from where you are, Val, in Sandpoint. So
they rode with us to Raleigh, so we keep a good co-relationship.
Yeah, you know those girls well. Okay, so let's shift gears then to the Tiger-Grizz Invite over in Idaho Falls this past weekend. Here were the top 10 team scores on the girls' side, and again, Fred, I feel like another week, another where the rankings coming in on IdahoSports.com don't really indicate where the teams are going to finish. You got Thunder Ridge ranked fourth this past week; they win the title at 168.5. Kuna took third among Idaho teams. Star Valley took second from Wyoming. And then you had 3 teams that aren't even ranked in the girls' rankings: Meridian, American Falls, and Grace. All go 6, 7, and 8. What jumped out to you from the team race at Tiger-Grizz?
Meridian's got a girl that just transferred in from Nissa, Kira De Leon from Nissa. She was a state placer in Oregon. I think she ended up 5th or 6th there. She's tough though. So match her up with, I mean, you need 3 or 4 state placers to be in the trophy hunt for state probably. And Meridian's probably got that. So they're definitely on the move. They're on the rise. So that was a little bit shocking. And then Molly Ulagi is back, and she looked really good. I think she ended up 2nd. She lost to a Utah girl in the finals, but it's great to see her back from an injury. So she looked good. So her and her sister there at the same weight. I'm sure that's fun at home.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Fred, about so if a girl transferred in from NISA, there's obviously criteria when it comes to seeding girls at state and things like that. And of course you can go win your district also and qualify for state that way. You don't take into account anything she did over in Oregon. Did she compete in Oregon this year at all and just moved over here? Or was it she had to get her practices in and only competed in Idaho? It's just something I'm curious about in terms of when it comes to seeding criteria and that battle royale ahead of state.
Yeah, I mean, she's got plenty of time to get some head-to-head matchups, and then districts she'll have enough time to probably create a resume so she can be seeded. I think she started off in NISA this year and then moved over over to Meridian. So, yeah, Taylor Drake was impressive. She got to get back on Raylyn O'Connor. So, there you go.
Yeah. Tina in the chat, giving the shout out there.
And also Kinsey Williams at 114, back to the top of the podium. So she's had a big climb back this season as well. So it was good to see her on top.
Her first matches at Raleigh, it just takes a little bit to get back into it. You take that much time off in the season. So it's nice to see her back in form and wrestling hard. So we had our girls and Caldwell had their girls down in Spring Creek, and Caldwell looks tough too. They're lightweight girls. Went 1 and 2, and they look really good. So that was good.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. We mentioned Taylor Drake from CUNA getting the win at 107 over Raylyn O'Connor from Sam, and she is the defending champion. Won it last year as a freshman, I believe, right? Raylyn's a sophomore this year?
Raylyn's actually a senior.
Oh, she's a senior. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. That was probably as far as the finals matchups, I might be the only one that went to full 3 periods, and that was a good matchup. Taylor came out early, controlled the match, and looked really solid in all positions. But that was definitely the most dramatic match of the night for the girls.
Here's Kelly in the chat. The CUNA girls only had 6 of their girls at Tiger-Grizz. 5 of them placed. 2 of them were champs. Al, that's what we call efficiency.
Yeah, they're consistent. So when you look at the probability of them doing well at state, they're a high probability. So they're one of the teams.
Here's Miles in the chat. Shout out to what's becoming quickly one of my favorite wrestlers, Keisha Hanks from Burley. Won the Tiger-Grizz at 126 with her 100th career win. And Miles says she didn't wrestle during her 9th grade year. So this is only year 3 for Keisha Hanks. That's incredible. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, she was just dominant. Tech Falls in the final. What I was looking forward to, and Katie Taverdi, Garden Valley, got into Tiger-Grizz late, and so the seating criteria didn't get put in, or she would have been separated. So she lost to Hanks in the semis, I believe, because that probably should have been the finals matchup. Would have been, the girl from Stansbury is solid, but Keisha Hanks in the finals. I mean, at Tech Fall, just right out of the gate. So I was looking forward to Taverdi Hanks in the finals. They saw each other in the semis, but Keisha Hanks just looked dominant the entire tournament.
Yeah, I love the way she's all over the place with her. Like, she's just looking for competition. She just picks the toughest weight she can go and try to get the best matchups. Like, it's going to pay off for her in the long run. I think that's a cool attitude to have. So,
yeah, she is not afraid to back down from any challenge. That is for sure. Here is Cade in the chat. Shout out to Zuri Tavares, freshman, taking 3rd at Tiger-Grizz with a broken nose and also placing at Raleigh. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know about the broken nose part, so that's good context, Brian.
Yeah, I saw her walking around with the tape, and she's just tough. She's having a great season, really good looking. We have a handful of really good looking freshmen. You go through here, I don't know the numbers, but we probably had a freshman girl in just about every weight in the top 5. I mean, really strong class, and Zuri's one of those leaders.
Yep. Here are all of the individual champions from Tiger-Grizz. On the girls' side, Catherine Montalvan from West Jefferson wins the 100-pound title. We talked about Taylor Drake and Kinsey Williams. Gracie Price from Thunder Ridge wins at 120. Kiana Conrad wins at 132. Zoe Fries from CUNA at 138. A lot of number ones in here, Al. Elise Twade at 152. Shauna Anderson at Thunder Ridge. I got to be honest, Charlie Robinson from Rigby wasn't really on my radar too much, Fred. What can you tell me about her?
She's tough. She's athletic. She's wrestled. I don't know if she's wrestled Amy Hartman yet. I don't know if they saw each other at Raleigh or not, but it's probably between those two right now, I would say. So I like her. She wrestles hard.
Yeah. Val, is there anybody on this list that we haven't covered yet? You want to give a shout out to?
I mean, Shauna Anderson at 185. We got to see her the weekend before last, and wow, she's a tough girl. And everybody else we've covered pretty well.
Yep.
The West Jefferson girl, it's interesting. West Jefferson has 2 100-pound girls that are tough. They have the Meserly girl and then Malta Van, who's tough, and they're both winning tournaments on different weekends. I think Meserly won the Tiger Brawl or whatever it was last weekend. She was at a tournament last weekend and won, and then she set out this weekend probably to give her teammate a chance to win. So they're going to be really tough at 100.
They are. Yeah, and they've got a 107-pounder that I think was 4th at Tiger-Grizz, the Bar Z girl. So they're really solid at the lower weights. And, that you mentioned the Shauna Anderson match. What was fun about that finals match is if you look, her finals match was with the returning state champion, Rihanna Walter of Canyon Ridge, who just didn't make weight, got bumped up to 185 and made the finals at 185. So that was kind of cool to have an interweight matchup there.
Yeah, I did notice that as well. And then I guess I wanted to give a shout out to Josie Newby from Grace, taking second at 145 to a girl from Star Valley. We know Star Valley is a really tough team. So the newbie name with Grace Wrestling, right, Brian? You know it's going to be a good athlete.
Yep, no doubt about it.
So I was thinking about this because I was on a separate podcast and they say, where's the state of Idaho wrestling for girls? And I said, we're doing really well. We have the future looks bright. We have 4 girls ranked nationally. So when you look at the national rankings, when you got the top 5 girls, you can sort of say, yeah, they placed at Fargo or they placed at this tournament, that tournament. But I'm telling you right now, from what I'm seeing at Raleigh, what I'm seeing our girls do in Arena, what I'm seeing our girls do Tiger-Grizz and at Jaybird, when you start getting in rankings, girls are ranked like 15th in the country. Here's how it works. For every girl ranked in those areas, for every girl ranked, there's 10 more, 15 more just as good that are not ranked, but they haven't been exposed yet. I'm telling you right now, we got girls that once they start going up to those higher and challenging themselves, I think we're going to see a lot more. So we're closer than people probably realize, in my opinion, from what I'm observing. What do you think about that, Fred?
For sure. The 2 girls that were out of state that won, they're both nationally ranked girls, the bigger girl and the Foreman girl. Yeah, we just got to get more exposure. So
that's right.
Our girls are tough. They can wrestle with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that.
You just look, if you want evidence, you just look at the girls' college rankings and look at some of those freshmen from Idaho that are ranked this year who were, they were solid Idaho wrestlers, but kind of off the radar. Then they head off to college. And, we've got girls at NIA and junior college that are ranked top 10, freshmen. So I think that's evidence that Idaho girls are better than those national rankings show sometimes.
Yeah. I encourage people to look in Idaho if they're looking for women's wrestling along with the boys. So,
and to encourage girls to spring wrestle and get into the freestyle season. Mm-hmm. It is extremely beneficial and will definitely help you when it comes to your winter season.
I agree.
College style, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, most of the girls that we're seeing on the top of the podium, we spend a lot of time in the summer wrestling, and it's paying off.
Yep. It's been a lot of fun to see the trajectory continue to rise here in Idaho. You were talking about the Barzy girl from West J. Brian, here's Sherry in the chat. Barzy at 107. Way tough. No doubt about it. Okay, before we let Val and Fred go, let's take a look at what's coming up for girls competitions this week. Val is the head coach at Sandpoint. Are your Bulldogs going to a tournament this weekend?
We are. Real quick, before we jump to that, I'll be quick. I promise. Hellgate tournament was this weekend.
Wow.
Want to give a shout out to Bonners Ferry. So 2 teams in Idaho were in the top 10. Lake City was 9. Bonners Ferry was 10. But Nevaeh Therian found her way back to the podium this weekend. Took the 110 weight class. And then Alexis Johnson from Lake City in the 120 weight class. And Sophia Brown from Bonners in the 138. So kudos to those girls wrestling over there in Hellgate, representing Idaho. This weekend, 2 big tournaments up north. A bunch of teams are taking their girls to the Othello girls tournament there in Washington. Sandpoint will be going to the Ted Cato tournament in Thompson Falls. So last year they kind of ran a trial tournament with the girls in Plains High School. This year they decided to bring the girls back to the actual Ted Cato tournament there in Thompson Falls. So we are very excited to head over there this weekend.
Awesome. You'll get some good competition over there in Montana. Yeah. That is for sure. And the teams that are going to Washington are going to see some really stout competition as well. Fred, what's going on in Southern Idaho this week for girls competitions?
I'm not really aware of a lot of stuff happening in Eastern Idaho. We'll be at the Gooding Grappler with our girls. I think American Falls is coming. Looking forward to seeing some head-to-head matchups there. So, but as far as Eastern Idaho, I'm not sure where everybody's planning on wrestling. It's kind of a weird year with an extra week an extra week in January. So it's kind of an open weekend, I think, for girls.
Yeah. If there's anybody from East Idaho in the chat, and you want to let us know where your team's headed, certainly do that. And then go ahead, Brian.
It looks like we've got about 24 girls teams headed to the Clear Valley North-South duels in Kooskia, which is, I've never been there, never looked at that, but I was looking earlier and it looks literally like there's about 24 girls team, several from East Idaho that are going to that. I don't even know where Kooskia is. That's
we were just talking about that, Brian. That's where Val got married. That's where Clearwater Valley is.
Right at the start of the Panhandle.
Okay.
Right, the Panhandle starts.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of teams must be traveling because it looks like Malad's got a girls team going up. Ryrie, Salmon, West Side. So there's teams from East Idaho headed there. It looks like at least they're signed up for it.
And you said that's a dual tournament?
It says that it's Clearwater Valley North-South duels. And Chalice,
Salmons, Tri-Valley, West Side, Malad, Nampa Christian is going over there. So, it looks like it's going to be pretty good competition down there in Kooskia. Kevin in the chat says South Fremont's going to be in Gooding. Billy and Chelsea, they're from Thunder Ridge. They're going to Wyoming.
Yeah, the Lander tournament. That looks like it's a pretty big tournament, too.
Yes. And then Sherry says our girls have the weekend off. That's Malad boys heading north for that north-south duels. And then we talked about this briefly, but Wyatt in the chat also says the Idaho girls did really well in Spring Creek, Nevada this past week. Fred, you mentioned Caldwell, Buell was there. Were there any other teams that went down there for that?
Yeah, Kimberly was there too. I think they ended up with 2 seconds. The vocal girl at 145 and Carly Walter at 152. I think they both ended up second. And then we had 2 champs. Allie Swansera wrestled a pretty tough White Pine girl in the finals and did a good job with her. And then Roxy Sheen wrestled the vocal from Kimberly. So we had 2 champs. I just don't want them to get their heads too big. So
stay humble.
Working hard.
That's right. Well, we appreciate Fred and Val continuing to work so hard for girls wrestling in the state of Idaho. Val, as always, it was so great getting to see you in person at Sandpoint this past Friday. So that was fun.
Please come back for that event. It's definitely a fun one, and we'll definitely have girls next year. That's what they're telling us this time, and we should be able to wrestle a full varsity lineup next year.
Awesome.
At least that's what we're going to hold them to.
That sounds good. Yeah, we'll put the public pressure on. That's for sure.
Right.
Fred, thank you as well for your time. We appreciate it.
You bet.
All right. A couple of quick chat comments, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Molly Alagi, right? Ulagi. Okay. Faced Clarion Fager from Utah, ranked 30th in the country. That's pretty good in the Tiger-Grizz finals. And then Sherry says Malad represented in Utah, taking 5th with 5 girls and 1 champion out of those 5. So that's pretty good too for Malad down there in Utah. Okay. Fred and Val, thank you for the time, and we'll see you back here next week. All right.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
You guys.
All right, guys. We'll wrap up the show with kind of peeking ahead on what's going on with boys wrestling. I continued to get some boys shout outs as we were doing our girls wrestling discussion. So I wanted to make sure I got those in. We had Eddie give a shout out to Bo Ringel from Firth at 175, taking the podium at the Magic Valley Classic. That was a big breakthrough he's a tough fullback on that football team too for Firth High School. And then Christian Fabi, he was at the Clearwater Classic. He noted the 150 battle there was pretty fierce. And then he wanted to talk about the Clearwater Valley North-South duels. Brian, this is the tournament you were talking about. 1A, 2A, 3A boys. Kind of a who's who at this Clearwater Valley North-South duels competition. We mentioned Malad's going up to it. Tri-Valley's going to go compete there. Nampa Christian, Melba, Chalice and Salmon are coming over. This is a fun little spot. Kuski. It's going to be, there's a team of renegades coming too. I'm not sure what that's going to be comprised of, but that'll be interesting too.
Yeah, and I think it looks like it is just a boys. I don't see a girls. I thought it was both, but I don't see that. So, so it leaves it open for the girls. There's not a lot going on this weekend. The Gooding Grappler duels, it looks like, has the girls, and that's about it. There's the Quad City duels up there this weekend, that's earlier in the week. So
all the major things have happened, right? The big tournaments.
Yeah.
So
you got
end.
I mean, there's some good ones. The Minico tournament next week. Pocatello has one the week after that. So there's some. North Idaho Rumble obviously is a good one, but this is kind of that dead week. And like Fred said, I think it's just because we had that extra weekend in there this year.
Now, when you say Minico, you're talking about the Halverson tournament?
Yeah,
okay.
Red Halverson. Yep, that's usually pretty good.
That's a good tournament.
Pretty good mix of teams. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Okay, so what else is going on in boys competitions? Let us know in the chat where your team is headed. Other, competitions on the boys side that I've got my eye on. The Gooding Grappler is going to be going on for boys competition as well. Looking at the team lineup here, we've got American Falls coming over. Fruitland is going to be coming over. So that should be pretty good. South Fremont. So Al, this is kind of the who's who of 4A teams going to be competing in Gooding this weekend.
That'd be great competition. Great competition.
Yeah. And we must have a lot of East Idaho teams maybe going out of state, Brian. Where's Skyline going?
Skyline is off.
Okay.
And I know several teams over here that are just off this week. Thunder Ridge is heading to that Lander, Wyoming tournament. It looks like it's 40 schools or something. So it looks like it's about 4 hours away. That should be good. But a lot of the teams are just off this weekend because there's, you have all these traditional tournaments and nothing really filled this gap. There's no established tournament that's usually held on this weekend, which is really odd.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Here's Kenna Wagoner from Tri-Valley. Clearwater duels will be tough. And Eddie from Firth. This weekend, the Cougars are off. Next weekend at Sugar Salem. It should be a good one, too. So, well, guys, then I guess, we will have some results to talk about next week. Not a ton. So maybe next week we can kind of use that as a reset week to talk about some of those larger issue things that folks love to talk about. And so here's what I'm going to do. If there is a topic you want us to cover, like, I don't know, super states or Tournament of Champions. I know Paul Kingsbury, the one time I let him host, he already kind of breached that subject, or, moving state tournaments around, or changing the weights for the girls, or mirroring the college rules and system. If there are those kind of big picture items you guys want us to talk about and maybe get into a discussion about, maybe we can do that next week. It sounds like we'll have some time.
I think that would be great.
Can of worms. Here we come.
Here's what I will say. If there is a topic you want us to talk about, you can send me an email. It's right there on the screen, Brandon@IdahoSports.com. And you can send, how about this one from Kelly? Yes. Dual team state. I lived in Nebraska for a couple of years, guys, and they do that. They do a dual state tournament, and then they have the actual, just team state tournament like 2 weeks after that. So yeah, that would be a fun topic as well. So if you've got ideas, things you want us to kind of talk about next week, big picture, state of the union type stuff, send it to me, Brandon@IdahoSports.com, and we'll get kind of a rundown. We'll still, of course, cover the results that happened, but with it being a lighter weekend in general, it'll be a good time to visit.
I was thinking about the super state today, and it's like, well, the state champion would advance. We have some divisions where the third guy is better than the champions in the other division. So you'd have to, is it the champion? You would be leaving out some studs.
Yeah.
Right. What if a top tier kid loses in the semis, takes third, but he's been undefeated all year other than that one match?
Easy solution. 16-man bracket, top 4 from each division.
Yep.
There you go.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Done.
All right. Bruce says, Brian, that is a big can of worms. So bring your big spoon next week. And okay, I said big State of the Union type. I guess that must have been on my mind with the inauguration yesterday, guys. Here's Travis. He gets the final word tonight. Al for president.
I'll second that. Here we go.
Listen. I took ethics.
It'll be a step up, right?
I don't know if they teach that anymore based on how politicians act these days.
I didn't sleep through ethics class.
Yeah.
My article on Lita Cruz should be coming out, correct? On the Matt Chad, who's at Grandview, Domenico, 4-time state champion. And I'm working on a few other things. So I'll be busy doing some of those other articles as well.
What is Lita ranked right now? I saw her. She's ranked there.
Yeah, she's doing okay. I don't know exactly where she's ranked. They just had the national duels, so I'm not 100% where she's ranked. She's a redshirt sophomore. She's had some injuries in the past, so she's just trying to get recalibrated in her redshirt sophomore year.
Can't wait for the article.
Yeah, that's a Matt chat with Al and Lita Cruz from Minico coming out probably tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that on IdahoSports.com. And she was one of the OG, one of the original pioneers for girls wrestling in Idaho back when it was unaffiliated with the IHSAA. And so
she has an extended family from Minico that's wrestlers too, her uncles and stuff. So did you hear the phone?
Uh-oh.
That's the president calling you, Al. He heard you're coming for his job.
The bat phone.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, for Al Fontes and Brian Solinger, my name is Brandon Bainey. Thank you for tuning in to the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast, brought to you by Green Solutions, family-owned, expertly restoring water, mold, and fire damage, and working seamlessly with your insurance. We'll see you back here next week. Same great time, same great place on IdahoSports.com.